What is protocol? The foundation of any activity is what determines how we would have a sound understanding of what we are doing. If you don't set the foundation right, then whatever you are building on that foundation will not be sustainable. So if we're going into the protocol mentorship session, if we're going to learn all of the topics that we have for the next 4 weeks, then we need to set the ball rolling with a solid base understanding of what protocol is. Sometimes we want to define protocol. Sometimes we don't want to define protocol. It is better we just understand it. But if we say we want to define protocol, then we can say that it is a set of rules and customs that govern behavior in various social, diplomatic, and professional settings. It serves as a framework for maintaining order, showing respect, and facilitating effective communication among individual or groups. This is the base of protocol. So if you have been doing protocol before and you've not done something as it is being defined here, then it means you have put on the regalia of protocol, but actually doing something different. A wise man once said, the late Miles Monroe of blessed memory, a very popular statement. When the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse, they say, is inevitable. When the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. When you don't know what a thing is, you will definitely use it for something else, which is not the purpose. So for us, we need to come to an understanding that it is a set of rules. Sometimes we don't want to call it set of rules because protocol in itself is dynamic. Protocol is not cast in stone. Protocol evolves every now and then. Protocol changes form as the century changes. How protocol was practiced in the 17th, 16th, 15th century is not the same way protocol is practiced in the 21st century. So we say it is a set of rules and customs that govern behaviors in various social, diplomatic, and professional settings. I love to use this example anytime I teach protocol and say, if you never heard of the word protocol, so rampant, so every day into our faces, the COVID-19 pandemic that hit the world would have let you know or heard the word protocol because you hear of the COVID-19 protocol. And what is the COVID-19 protocol? COVID-19 protocol is the prescribed way to keep yourself safe and your neighbors and your family safe in order for you not to contract the virus, not to be infected with the virus. And so you are advised to wash your hands regularly with soap and running water. You are advised not to shake hands. When you sneeze, you don't just sneeze like that. You put your elbow and then you sneeze. These activities to ensure that you are safe from COVID is what is called the protocol, is what is called the set of rules that guides how we behave, that guides how we do things, that guides how we interact, that guides how we speak, that guides how we dress, that guides how we behave in different settings. And that is why I said at the beginning, the protocol of church is not the same as the protocol of a government office. Even in the government office, the Ministry of Defense has a different protocol compared to the Ministry of Agriculture, or the Ministry of Housing and Development, or the Ministry of Urban and Regional Planning. Protocol is a set of rules that govern how we behave in various settings. Are you following? If you are following, type in the comment section, I am following. If you are following, type in the comment section, I am following. If you are following, type in the comment section, I am following. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. If you are following, type in the comment section. Great, 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 great. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So that is the base of foundation. That is the foundation of what we want to understand as protocol. The set of rules, the set of guidelines, a prescribed guidelines guiding how we behave in different settings. Okay, okay, okay. So let me ask, let me ask you, let me ask you, have you been to a setting that is totally different from what you know? And when you get into that setting, what happened to you? Have you had that experience? Have you had such experience? Can someone type in the session if you've had such experience? That where you are is different from where you went to, and where you went to, there is an order of doing things. There is an order of doing things. Have you experienced that? Have you gone to the embassy before and compare how people behave in the embassy and how they do outside? Has anyone experienced something like that? Has anyone experienced the way you act in a particular setting of where you are and the way you act in another setting are two different things? If you don't follow procedures and processes, lines, and order in a particular environment, when you go to another environment that has a strict protocol on order, do you know you will fall in line and you wouldn't even ask questions? Yes, you wouldn't even ask questions. And that is what leads me to making this statement to say that protocol is order. Protocol is decorum. Protocol is courtesy. Protocol is common sense. Protocol is order. Protocol is common sense. Protocol is decorum. Protocol is courtesy. We'll talk about that when we get to some aspects of protocol. When you disobey the protocol of an environment, the environment fights back. When you disobey the protocol of an environment, the environment fights back at you. So if you go to an environment where it's expected that everyone should be in line, and where you are coming from, if you don't stay in line, by the time you get to that environment, people in that environment, the order there, the sense of order will tell you, hey, young man, young woman, kindly go back. And the moment you begin to disagree with what the people or what the protocol is saying, they might bundle you out. Why? because you are constituting nuisance. And that is why it is important that we understand the behaviors of different settings. The settings of a social gathering is not the same as that of a diplomatic gathering or a business gathering. Each of these gatherings have an observed or have a protocol to be observed. I'm taking time to lay this foundation so that we can build on the things that we have learned here in this foundation. Protocol is order. Protocol is common sense. Protocol is courtesy. Protocol is about respect. And we say protocol serves as a framework for maintaining order, showing respect, and facilitating effective communication. Let's take a look at protocol in different settings. Let's take a look at protocol in different settings. In the social setting, protocol helps guide behaviors in social interactions, events, and ceremonies. It establishes norms for polite and courteous behavior, helping people to go through the different situations with a sense of decorum and mutual respect. This can include guidelines for introduction, gestures, and general conduct in a social gathering. Have you been to a gathering and you see God, have been to social settings, birthday parties, naming ceremonies where people are gathered, and then you see people acting anyhow. You see people acting like they have not eaten for the past 5 days, and you see people rushing food and fighting for food. Have you experienced such things before? Have you gone to a gathering where you begin to ask yourself, is this truly a professional gathering? Is this really what is expected? So in social settings, we see things such as greetings, gestures, and your general conduct at those kind of events. So there is a protocol in social settings as well, in social gatherings as well. And this social gathering sometimes may not be elaborate parties. It could be cocktail parties, cocktail or dinners, and any of those things that have to do with social settings. All right, where people interact, where people gather, where people just take some time to relax. There is also an order there. So how do you introduce people? How do you introduce yourself? What are the gestures you make when you find yourself in social settings? What about in a diplomatic setting? This is where basically it looks like protocol has been domiciled for a period of time, and people think it's just about the governments, the royalties, and all the rest of them. And that's why you hear diplomatic protocol. That's why you hear things like, I don't know if anyone has heard of the Vienna Convention. If you have heard of the Vienna Convention, type I know the Vienna Convention. Type I know the Vienna Convention. Type I know the Vienna Convention. I've heard of the Vienna Convention. Is someone typing? Let me confirm. Let me confirm. Have you heard about the Vienna Convention? Hello? Is anyone here? This is a learning platform, so let's go ahead. Let's go ahead. It will help us understand where I'm coming from, especially in diplomatic protocol, or especially when you talk about protocol in diplomatic settings. This is asking, why is church protocol more complex? Why is church protocol? Okay, that is why church protocol is more complex. Okay, so what does the Vienna Convention talks about? Now, as protocol professionals, especially if we really want to do global protocol practice, then we should have an understanding on idea of what the Vienna Convention is all about. So, what is the Vienna Convention talking? When we look at the history of protocol back then, protocol has been in existence for a very long time. But then, if we start going back to all of those days, all of those times, it will take a long time because we start mentioning names, we start mentioning back then in Western Europe, talk about in Spain, talk about French, and all of those things. But what is the summary of the Vienna Convention? And how does it relate to diplomatic protocol? Because when we talk about diplomatic protocol, we are talking about how nations interact. How nations interact. So we're saying that protocol plays a crucial role in international relations by providing or defining proper procedures for interaction between representatives of different nations. It helps prevent misunderstandings and conflicts by establishing rules for diplomatic ceremonies, negotiations, and official visits. The adherence to diplomatic protocol fosters positive relations between countries. Why is it important? This now takes us back to the Vienna Convention I'm talking about. And let me just explain the Vienna Convention a little bit. Okay, yes, yes, Abebe is talking about it. The first was in 1815, right? Great, 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 great. Now, why was it necessary that the Vienna Convention took place? It was because back then, when leaders gather, they found it difficult to say who should be recognized first, who should head such a meeting, who should come in first, who should come in last. Bear it in mind that all of these persons coming for the gathering, the Spanish ambassadors, the French ambassadors, the French ambassadors, King Louis, and all the rest of them, all of these men gathered. But then in their gathering, it was difficult to even recognize who is the top. And that is where, when we're going to our order of precedence class, maybe we could take that class another time, a specific class, so we can break this down, so we will understand what order of precedence is. You know, so anytime all of these things happen, we will see a situation where there is some form of quarrel and disagreement among all of these persons coming to meet. And at some point, a dispute came about, especially at a meeting with the Swedish ambassador in 1661. And who were involved in this? It happened between the Spanish ambassador and servants of French ambassador, the Esther. The Spanish ambassador then was Vatville, and I think let me not bore us with all of those names and all of the things. But the point we're saying is that all of these persons gathers. The King of France also ordered during that quarrel. The King of France, Louis XV, also ordered the Spanish ambassador to be punished, and made the ambassador of Spain to give way to French ambassadors in the future. And of course, it led to the declaration or a threat to declare war. You can imagine issues of sitting down, issues of who is the first, issues of who should lead, issues of who is the highly respected, led to nations threatening for war because you have disrespected me, because you have not given me the respect that is deserving of me. For God's sake, I'm a representative of the King of England. I'm a representative of the Spanish king. And you are telling me this? While that was happening, it now led to what we now call the Vienna Convention today. And of course, we have Vienna Convention, the first Vienna Convention, the first one, that will allow us to talk about the rules of etiquette, that will allow us to talk about ceremonial precedence, so that all of these issues wouldn't happen. And so the Congress of Vienna of 1815 stopped the disputes and misunderstanding of protocol issues, because issues were already coming up. And so that first Vienna Convention talked about these issues so that people will not begin to fight themselves. In 1815, and after that 1815, we now see another one again, talking about the regulations of the Congress on protocol precedence of diplomatic representatives. And then in 1818, the Aachen Protocol amended the Vienna regulations, and it went ahead to establish diplomatic ranks, because politicians and diplomats realized that activities in politics, activities in international relations, activities in governance would be impossible to take place without rules. Of course, we know how politics is. Politics becomes chaos without these rules. You can imagine the United States president coming to your country and he is not respected. You can imagine what the president of the United States will say. But because there is an established rule, there's an established order, there's an established Congress, there's an established protocol saying how people should be treated, especially when it relates to government officials, when it relates to representatives. These are the things that should be followed. So from 1815 to 1818, and then what we have today is the 1961 Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations that was agreed upon. And what this did was to legalize all other aspects of protocol and turn them into an international law. And then since that time, all countries of the world, even those who have not even joined the Vienna Convention, adhere to the standards that have been written in the documents, the 1961 Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations that was agreed upon from 1815 to 1818 and now to 1961. All protocol offices takes this convention into serious account. When we mean protocol offices, we are talking about nation states, Nigeria, Ghana, all over the world. Why? Because it brings about recognition of new states, establishment of diplomatic protocols, appointment of heads of diplomatic missions, diplomatic visits, conversations, negotiations, meetings of official delegation, assemblies, international conferences, meetings, signing of international treaties, and all of the rules that talks about protocol when all of these leaders meet. This is what is being strictly followed all till today, according to the 1961 Vienna Convention of diplomatic rules, where we talk about people, leaders, gathering, the diplomatic protocol. Okay, I beg your pardon. The regulations on protocol and precedence of diplomatic representatives. This is where we now begin to see the role protocol plays in diplomacy. Okay? And of course, in business settings, what does it mean? But let me just keep that, all right? As we begin to round off, what is the significance of protocol? It is important, it's significant because it establishes hierarchy, precedence, and proper etiquette. It helps define the order of importance or authority among individuals, entities, ensuring that everyone understands their roles and responsibilities. Of course, it is evident in formal ceremonies, official events, hierarchical organizational structures, and of course, enable us to navigate all of these positions appropriately. I may not be able to go through all of these today, but the key principles of protocol talk about respect, talk about courtesy, talk about cultural sensitivity, and of course, the importance of adopting protocol practices to accommodate cultural differences and diverse backgrounds is crucial in our world today because, of course, it leads to effective communication, respectful interactions, enhanced diplomatic relations. What are the responsibilities of the protocol professional? Planning and coordinating events, managing guest lists, providing guidance on proper etiquette. Why is it important to have protocol professionals everywhere we find ourselves? Why? Because they maintain decorum, they create a welcoming environment, and they facilitate effective communication. I'm just trying to rush because our time is up. All right. What are the skills necessary for success as a protocol officer, as a protocol professional? Number one, attention to detail. Protocol professionals must have keen attention to detail to ensure that all aspects of events, meetings, and interactions are meticulously planned and executed according to protocol guidelines. And that is why it is important you understand the protocol of every environment. You understand how honor is practiced in an environment, how honor is practiced in another environment. Okay? And of course, you need to have communication skills. You need to be able to speak effectively because you will be working with different people. Protocols don't work in isolation. They work with other teams. They work with other teams. So you need to have strong communication skills because you will liaise with stakeholders and provide proper guidance on etiquette and coordinate with event staff and guests. You will necessarily interact with people every now and then. So you need to build your communication skills. Of course, you need to be a professional. Protocol officers must exhibit professionalism at all times, especially when under pressure or faced with challenging situations. They must remain composed, diplomatic. One of the key skills of a protocol officer, a protocol professional, is the skill in diplomacy. And it is said that diplomacy is telling a man you can go to hell while laughing with him. We'll talk about that more. And discreet in handling sensitive matters. So the skill of confidentiality is also one of the skills that a protocol professional should possess, because you come in contact with confidential matters, you hear things that are privileged information. So you should be professional at all times. Okay, as we run off, protocol professionals play a very important role in ensuring the success of events and meetings by planning and coordinating activities, managing guest lists, providing guidance on proper etiquette, and creating welcoming environments. To be successful in this field, it requires attention to detail, strong communication skills, professionalism, and the ability to handle pressure with grace and diplomacy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we come to the end of our introduction to protocol and its significance on the very first day of the virtual protocol mentorship session. Thank you so much for your time.